Well, it's that time of the week again. It's the War Room. It's wonderful. So glad that everyone could come and join us today. And first, I want to say welcome to these two wonderful gentlemen here that are always with us. I don't know who they are. They're looking around trying to find them. No.
Where are these guys you're talking about?
And ID Jester. Ruff, how are you doing? How's your week been? And you're muted. You're muted, Ruff.
No, I'm not.
There you go.
I wasn't muted. How queer, as they say over here. Yes, I had a great week. Actually got some more videoing done. I had a it's great. It was great. I've got a nice chunk, been editing it now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I should have the video out next week. See, all I need is a day and on my own, and I'm off. But I've also got
would you happen to tell us what you videoed?
Skies.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I want to get it done. Had some prezzies come in. One's a non-war game, or a pile of it is, but I'll get that out of the way. We've got
nice
Dead King. Got my
Down
first
Dead Kings. Big old box. That's a heavy one, Ruff.
That's the thinnest box. And it's got the expansion in it.
I've actually never heard of that game.
See, it gets thicker as they go on.
Oh, nice.
That's a good, yes, I do like my hex for it. And I've got to thank, I had the fourth one. That's the first and third. And I've got the fourth. And I've got to thank Mike Vecchielli for putting up with me and Tony playing it. And the reason I can get all the expansion bits in is because I've got this thing.
Oh, nice. The hero chest. Wow.
You put all your bits and pieces in it. So that's that. But on the war game front, this came in. I voted over a year for it. It's now here.
Ah, yeah. I heard that people were getting it.
People are enjoying it by the looks of it. Also, I ordered the expansions. There's 4 altogether. So the expansions are there. And there were 2 included in the core box in the Kickstarter for free, and I think that's one of them. But
do they charge you for those 4 extra planes, the 4 extra plastic planes?
No, it's a different
$30 for them.
It's a different animal. This is a different animal. This one, but they run out of the first one, and people are complaining. So where's me, included expansion? And a lot of us, including me, haven't got it. They didn't print enough, I think, is the upshot. But Phalanx said, apologies, we're on it. We'll let you know as soon as possible. So, hopefully they're trying to get stuff done.
Should have screenshotted the Jester's look right there.
I know. I'm just saying we'll give, that's fine. They said, sorry, we're getting it done. And nothing, let's hope it all works out fine, because nothing speaks louder than a YouTube video.
Oh,
that's true.
There's a little ultimatum there, huh?
No. I'm joking apart.
Of course.
I mean, Gimpy don't put up with any nonsense, so I might do a Gimpy if it doesn't turn out. But I've got no reason to think that it won't. But
there you go.
No Friday with Tony. He was too exhausted after doing his masters. So congrats to him anyway.
Yes, so he did an excellent job.
I haven't watched it because I watched it live, and it's the slideshow, is it? So
yeah. But yeah, it was overall.
Watch the new one.
He did a great job. Yeah. Great job. Jester, how are you doing? How's your week been?
My week has been much better this week. The wife is starting to barely get around now, so I don't have to do as much for her. She's able to get up and go to get something to drink. It's mostly carrying things around and stuff. She's still got to use the walker, so I'm able to not have to babysit her as much. So that's good. I've been able to actually sit down, spend more time doing things and not having to worry about every 5 minutes getting up and taking care of something that she needs because she's needy as hell.
Right.
So that's been pretty good. So I actually got a few things done this week and had a much better week. It's also, you're working full time, you're taking care of someone when you come home, and you're trying to squeeze in videos or, getting online and doing things. It's exhausting. I was like exhausted this week. I was like I slept into like 9:30 this morning. I don't ever sleep into like 9 o'clock anymore. I used to do that when I was younger, but now it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm up, wide awake. And even on my days off, I was exhausted this morning. So it's getting better by just, she's getting better, slightly better. Every day is a challenge, but we went to the doctors this week and he said that, it's going to take a couple months, 3 to 6 months to get to the point where you kind of doing okay, but it could be up to like a year before you get back to normal. So
sure,
it's been doing better and she's been getting better. So
good.
Good.
Well, my week, unfortunately, and thanks both for asking. I really appreciate it.
You're the host.
I couldn't miss that. It was right there. I'm like,
you did a gesture there, didn't you?
I
Lock and load, everyone. Lock and load.
Lock and load. But my week, I'm on the home stretch of my last PhD classes. They end this next Friday, so I'm happy about that. So I'm getting all my working a lot every day, getting my final papers and assignments finished. So I haven't been able to really war game at all or play any games whatsoever. But I am thinking about like what big game would I want to play over Christmas break, and I think I'm going to set up Downfall. I'm thinking about Downfall again because I played it once before, but I wasn't able to finish it. And so I was thinking about doing maybe like the Overlord scenario that starts near sort of, I think it's like the last 3 or 4 turns of the game and go from there as opposed to going the whole length. Because I wasn't really expecting when I first started playing that a turn can actually take a while in Downfall, just because all the initiative going back and forth. So, yeah, but I did do something this week that, how do I
You're looking guilty. What is it?
I do feel slightly guilty, but not sorry kind of thing.
You didn't put a game on your shelf, did you?
No, I didn't do that. Okay. But I will say it's both of your fault.
High five, Ruff. High five.
And let me share my screen because I backed on GameFound, a game that's coming out.
Game Founder. You've been Game Found, huh?
I have been Game Founded. It's Volume 1 from Sound of Drums. It's a Napoleonic battle game system. It's a new series that's coming out, and from Carl Paradis.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of an idea of what the battles kind of look like. So you have these little wooden
you see, troops. That's okay. They're not blocks. They're just wooden counters, aren't they?
More or less. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a chip pull game as well. So it's easily soloable, and there's no real hidden information. So not much, no blocks, even though there's wooden bits.
That one does look like a block right there in the bottom of that screen. On the bottom, there's that one looks like a block standing up there.
Oh, you mean this?
That one? Yeah, look at that one. That one looks like a block, boys.
It's actually, so he has it in the rules where, because they're already posted, that depending on how the block is set up or the wooden piece is set up, that determines whether or not it's disrupted or if the unit is routing or.
Yeah, shut up, Jester.
But I blame you both because I bought a tactical game. So
it's a tactical. Yeah.
This is a tactical. This is a Napoleonic battle tactical game. So
what are the size of the units? What does it start? What's the smallest? Is it
this in here is for
it still
volume
regimental?
1. These are more brigades.
Right.
Brigade divisions, but then later on when he's going to do let's see if I can find it in here. I don't think I can find it, but anyway, the volume 1 covers like the Napoleon's Italian campaigns in the French Revolution, and then volume 2 goes to like the pyramids and then Austerlitz, so the scale gets bigger over time because the battles get bigger. But yeah, we'll see. It's supposed to come sometime, I think May. They already have everything. It said that everything's already been proofed and done. So once the Game Found was over on Friday, this past Friday, then they're going to send it off for printing.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do, if that's all right, while you're chatting, I'm going to say hello
to everyone in the chat. Say hi.
Yes, I'm going to do that for you now. So while you're talking away, look who's first.
Oh, Spitfire Joe
first. Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
I want to say
that is amazing that he was first.
So, Jester, I understand you have something to talk to us about.
Do you want me to get these out of the way first?
Yeah, I can wait. I can wait.
We've got 40 odd people watching.
I got something else to say as Ruff is going through this, and I can talk about it. When I started my little thing of saying, "Oh, I'm going to do my 500 countdown, and we're going to go through every week, and I'm going to count down 10 games, and we're going to count down from 500 all the way down to number 1." Do you guys realize that after next week's episode, we'll only have 100 left to do, and that'll be over, which means in 11 weeks from now, Jester's Jeopardy comes back because we've gone through all 500.
Oh, God, no. Think of something else, for goodness sake.
I just had a sense of dread and horror come wash over me.
77.
Oh, okay.
The people have clamored for it. They have messaged me. They have started a riot over it. It's been worldwide known that see, Edward is looking forward to it.
Hey,
Ken
David
is looking forward to it.
Oh,
I mean, the world is waiting for it. The world is waiting for it. Jester's Jeopardy.
Paul.
So let me ask this: is this the old style Jester's Jeopardy, or is this going to be we've come back with a new format and a new time slot and everything, and new dazzly way of doing this, and that it's going to be bigger and better than ever? Wait a minute. His first Hex Encounter game was
What?
Wow. Sorry to cut you off, Jester.
Wow. First Hex Encounter game, World in Flames. I thought it was bad enough. My first ever war game I bought was Fields of Fire.
I'm not sure that was the best choice for your first Hex Encounter game.
No. Amazing choice.
Amazing game. Choice. If you get a grasp of that, mate, that'd be fantastic. Let us know how you get on.
Good job, Bruno.
Wow, that is amazing.
Hey.
Well, it's nice to know that we're pushing people into the hobby, though. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's right.
Cool. Richard, how you doing?
I think CSR awards should be. I mean, we should just wrap it up and give it to us this already for next year because.
Oh, nice.
Hope it went well, Bill.
Well, he was defending Juno Beach, so he wasn't attacking it.
Well, even so, hope it went well, Bill. What's the problem? Depends what side you're playing.
Yeah, that Ruff is wishing against the British.
Also, another thing.
Canadians, isn't it?
Tomorrow night, at 7:00, we're having our Combat Commander tournament starts. Me and Cardboard Commander going at it in Combat Commander.
That's cool.
So tomorrow at 7 on my channel. So
you've
looking forward to it.
Psyched him out after all these weeks of calling him out.
Well, I mean, after he backed out a couple times, he's probably. I mean, he might still back out. Who knows? But
So let me go back to have you. Is this Jester's Jeopardy going to be different?
Same here. Yeah, it's horrible here.
We will see. We'll see when it comes. There it is. Ken, these look. Can't wait for it. Cannot wait for it.
Well, I'm with Coy over here that if we bring it back, we have to put a hard time limit on it.
Yeah. We're gonna have to have you guys study up.
Because Coy, one of our steadfast supporters and watchers does and keeps us on track.
Mm-hmm.
And he does moan if it goes on a bit long. I get an email. I'm joking. So yes, that might be a good thing to do.
It's okay, Ruff.
That's how I think, Nerdy. That's how I think.
Even if we get an email from Jester, we won't reply.
Obviously, as kids, they never played 20 questions with their brothers and siblings because, the object is to narrow down the subject. Like, okay, I'm thinking of something. Well, you ask, like, is it bigger than a bread box? Is it smaller than a banana? You're narrowing it down. Like, you guys, like, is it World War II? No? Well, then it must be Napoleonics. No? Oh, geez. Let's think about this now. Oh, my God. What are we going to do?
I never know with Mike if he's taking the Mickey, if he's taking the P. You could, because it is 20 questions anyway, isn't it?
Oh, look, Patrick. Oh, man.
And I was just going to mention it. Right there it is. Right there he is. If you recall, Patrick is
that's
the world champion at Jester's Jeopardy. He got it in 7. 7, my boy. 7.
Maybe if we do a guess of like the games that are in the Great Campaign series, that then maybe we can it'll go easier because I have them all. So
for you, I just want to say we've got getting on for 50 people. If you haven't said hello, come and just say hello and introduce yourself to this wonderful crowd of nutters we have in the chat. We love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it. So say hi.
So yeah, absolutely. Everyone say hi.
So Jester,
that's going to be my first question.
Is it smaller than a banana? There you go. Like, is it smaller? Is it a block game? That should mean the first question every time. And the answer is going to be yes every time. I'm going to make sure you guys know every block game there is out there.
That. I like this idea.
Yeah. We'll just leave you alone for 10 minutes.
Yeah, you could solitaire it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That hidden information is going to be tough to solo, but
yes, it's said with love.
I think I'm just going to have Patrick come on every time. Me and Patrick will do it.
Hi, John.
He's the king at it. King.
Yeah.
He will go down in the annals of the war room history. It will be talked about forever. His 7 Jester Jeopardy World Championship.
How about
this? Let's give me an idea. What we could turn it into a drinking game. Every question we get wrong, we have to down a shot. What about that?
Yes. I'm up for that.
Much sense out of us, though, would they?
I'd like to tender my resignation for this show right now.
You bunch of wimps.
I think what we could do is that we guess a game that Jester owns, and if we guess it correctly in so many questions, he has to sell it.
I said hello, hello. That's the only thing
that could be any one of these over here, and it could be any one of these over there.
Mm-hmm.
I got a whole bunch.
There's one of them I'm thinking of that I'd love for you to sell it to me.
It's probably this one right here.
I wonder. Oh.
Yes. You notice how I had that at a moment's notice? I don't need to get up and move around and show my crack like somebody else around here.
Yeah, on this.
Uh,
All right. So, Jester, you had something you wanted to talk to us about.
so I've been doing this show for over 5 years now. And it's, I'll try to be as nice about this as I possibly can.
Be charitable.
We have talked about this. Me and Ruff and Tony originally have talked about this. And the fact that this show has cost us personally a lot of money.
Cost me my mentality.
I'm sorry?
Cost me my mentality.
It cost Ruff his mentality. It cost me a lot of money because
I'm joking.
we spent a lot of money shipping things out. We spent a lot of money just not getting reimbursements when we supposed to get reimbursements. We get just to talk about a couple of situations that's happened to me in the last 2 months. I shipped out a game and then I got contacted by the person that bought it and said, "Oh, I can't pay you because my basement is flooded and I don't have the funds to pay you. I'll try and pay you in a couple months." That was like, I don't know, 4 months ago. And so I'm still waiting to hear from that person. So I'm out the cost of all the games plus all the shipping on that. And I blame myself because I'm always the kind of guy, I don't want somebody to feel screwed over. Like if I send something to somebody and they don't like it, I feel bad. Like if I send you something and you don't get it because they crushed it in the mail or whatever, then I feel bad. So I always tell people, wait until you get it, then you can just reimburse me for it, because then I know they're happy and there's no problems. And for me, that's much better. But because of that, I end up getting screwed. Not by the people usually that buy the games and stuff. It's just like there's been things that I've shipped out to people that they never received because of whatever. Then the person, I'm out the shipping costs. The person doesn't reimburse me because they never got it. And then where do we go from there? Like I got no recourse. I can go to Germany and make a claim and say I want my money back. So long story short, this show has cost us a lot of money. Me personally, a lot of money. There was the first year we shipped things out, it cost me $280. I know I've shared that with many people since the beginning of time. And we like to give back to our viewers. That's what we do here. We like to encourage a lot of interaction between us and the chat, and the reason, giving things back to the chat when they win things. And we love giving away games and stuff. But the problem with that is it ends up biting us in the ass because, again, I just shipped something up to Canada, which is fine. I got reimbursed for it. But what ended up happening was PayPal took like $5.60 in a fee because it was from Canada. And the money came from Canada. So there's some kind of transaction fee, which they took out of my pocket. So the gentleman sent me the money back, which is great. But then I get out $5.60, which comes out of my pocket because that's money I'm not going to get back. And so, long story short, probably starting next year, depending on how things go, we're probably going to be asking for the viewers to become subscribers through either Patreon or some kind of service like that, because I think we should not have to worry about this being a financial burden on ourselves. I know Ruff has shipped out a lot of things and he hasn't run into any situations quite as much as I have, but I know Tony ran into some situations. I know Tony is personally driven over to somebody's house to deliver games to them, or met up with some people to give them the games, so that's money and gas and time and everything that he spent, which we appreciate. But it just gets to the point where we have to do something to make this show worth our time, trouble, and effort, if that makes sense. It's still a great time. We'd like to dedicate it to you, but we also don't want it to be a burden on us at the same time. So a couple years ago, we asked for donations, which was great. We had a ton of donations. I was able to ship some off to Ruff, and we were able to ship a bunch of stuff out, which paid for 90% of what we were going to ship out that year. Instead of asking for donations, I think it would probably be easier if we would be able to build up a nest egg of money from Patreon so that when we do need to ship something out, we can spend that money out of there. That's what most YouTube places do, is they build up a nest egg of money. So when they need to spend that money, they already have it ready to go. So we've been doing this for 5 years. So I think it's time for us to finally get organized and do that. And we've been discussing things, but it's kind of come to a head because I'm out now another $70 out of my pocket. And I'm not getting reimbursed from that money at all. So I'm sorry.
We will say nothing's been finalized, but that is at least currently
Correct.
the current thinking.
And we know, shipping is expensive. I mean, even to go across to Europe, it's $40 odd dollars or 40 odd euros to send something over there.
And right now it's not the time to ask for donations or anything because it's right before the holidays and people's money are tight. So we're going to wait probably till January or February. We'll have things more in stone and we'll let people know ahead of time. But what we're probably going to just ask for, like, if you want to sign up, like $2 or $3 a month, and then we're going to have like donations and stuff we'll give to our Patreon supporters, and we'll have other things and kind of incentives for you to sign up to become a Patreon.
Now,
and I think that'll be much better than having somebody just send us $10 or $20 or whatever, because I think it's easier on some people just to spend like $1 or $2 every month as opposed to spending $20 or $30 up front.
Yeah, he's going to go through the hospital holding his sign.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not let the cat out the bag there about Nordic, but I'm not, in the hospital. But I'm going to keep quiet. He's going to go around what we call sandwich board man. Do you call him over there?
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
The front and the back, the end is nigh. All that sort of thing. A lot of people are saying they don't want the free games, and but we love to give stuff away. It's just
you
nice
can say
to
is the end is nigh if you don't.
I tell you what, Nate, can you just turn your mic up a little weeny bit? For me,
okay.
Okay.
Now this year, when we had our 5th year anniversary, we gave away 5 games, and we asked you guys to pay for the shipping. That's all we did. We asked you guys to pay for the shipping, and everyone was more than supportive about, yes, I would be more than happy to pay for the shipping and blah, 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 which was great. And we appreciate that. I think it would be better in the long run if we didn't ask you guys to pay for the shipping, because we had that nest egg of funds that we can draw on to ship games out to people. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than winning the lottery and I want a game, but it's going to cost me $40 to ship it. Oh, well, I don't really want the game then. It's just not as exciting when you win something, but you got to pay for it. So that's way, again, it's not going to be, we're not asking for like a lot of money every month. We're still in discussions. Nothing's been finalized. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're not going to wait. Or we're not going to do anything until next year. But from January next year, when we have our end of year anniversary, when we're going to be giving games away, we're going to be asking you to pay for the shipping again, unless we have money set aside.
So more or less that nothing's finalized yet.
No,
we're discussing things.
We're tossing around ideas and things.
We will cross that bridge next year when we get to it.
Yes. And if anyone has a suggestion on how we can best do a support from you guys, a monthly, like a Patreon, or there's what's the one you do, Ruff? The coffee one?
Buy me a coffee. That's a one-off thing. You can.
I don't know. I haven't looked into them, so I don't know if there's like a good one to use or a bad one. If you have a suggestion, email me or Ruff or Nate and
buy me a coffee. Buy me a coffee. You can do a one-off. People buy me coffees every so often to a couple of dollars, and that's great. That's why it's brilliant. It goes in a little coffer for things like lights and bits and pieces and things. But there's also a monthly subscription you can do as well if you want to do it that way. I'm not sure what's the best, Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-fi Coffee, isn't it called? Buy
Ko-fi.
Ko-fi, yeah. Ko-fi, coffee, isn't it? It's a play on words. So, there's a few ways of doing it.
Yep.
And a lot of YouTubers do them all. They're rats.
Yeah, I just think, it would be nice if we could get a little bit of.
We just want to use the money so we can.
Yeah, a little bit of support, and if we got to buy something for the show, if we got to buy some games or whatever that we can give away, if we have a little nest egg around that we can get. We're not trying to make like $5,000 on this. We're just trying to get a couple $100 so when we need to ship something else, we can ship it out.
Now, Ruff, did you see what else Nordic put there at the end?
I'm getting down to it as quickly as I can because there's some comments here. People are very, passionate about this. Yeah.
We appreciate it. Everyone has been super nice, very supportive. We're not saying anything against you guys. You guys have been great. It's just we feel bad. Like we got these games. We didn't even have more games to give away, but we feel bad like asking people to pay for them, and we would like to be able to go, hey, guess what? You want a game and here it is.
Yep.
And not have it come out of my pocket, which would be great.
That's the point here. We're not asking if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. We're not.
If you can't do it, we'll do it.
No.
We definitely, all three of us, definitely love being generous.
Yes,
and
we
don't want
feel
to
you have to pay
generous.
to be in the competitions. And what if we do that? No, for goodness sake, no.
And the best thing for us would be if somebody won a game that couldn't afford to buy a new game, and they won it, and we were able to ship it to them for free. That would make me and Ruff and Nate very happy if we found out, oh, this person, they're running into some financial troubles or whatever, and they can't afford to buy themselves any games, and they end up winning a game, and we send it to them for free, and it made their day. Well, that would be awesome. We would love that. I'm not even talking about how much it costs me. I have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $1,000 in equipment for my live streams here. Yes, live streaming is expensive. You got the cost for the software, you got the lights, the cameras, the microphones, the green screens that I don't use. I have 3 cameras set up. I have 4 lights. I have a microphone. It's expensive, but I'm not even taking that into consideration.
No, that's it. So my Ko-fi, I get a few dollars in once in a while, a couple of 3, and it just goes into a pot. So when I need things like lights,
we'll let people know probably in the beginning of January what we're going to be doing. We'll discuss it. We'll looking for suggestions and we'll move on. But I just wanted to bring it up now. And
I don't want to keep going for the rest of the show about this because we do.
And he will. So you have to do a koi on him and shut him up.
But we will let everyone know to think about in a little bit when we get to our topic after we do our segments. The topic for today, I was thinking about this one, talking about this with some friends not too long ago that I also play games with, and I thought, what can war games learn from non-war games, specifically Euro games and Ruff's favorite Ameritrash games? What can war games learn from them? We talk a lot about how that some Euro games and some Ameritrash games can take things from war games to make them better. But what can happen in reverse towards us? What things can war games find from other games in the market that they could then use? Maybe not straight just copy and paste, but think about all the ideas that are out there.
No, of course not. Of course not.
No.
This is purely for this shipping malarkey, but forget about it, William. No.
And so I'm curious. I'd like people that are in the audience and in the chat to think about this as we kind of talk through. And I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts because this is I think this is actually a good topic for war games to consider, non-war games, and how non-war games can actually give good ideas to make a good war game. So there's lots of games I'm thinking of that there's a lot of Euro type influence, but it's still a war game. It's still at its heart a war game. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there for right now until we get to it. So yeah.
Okay. Just want to say, peeps, yeah, don't worry. This is the thing. You open a can of worms and people half hear the conversation and all that. What we're talking about is just shipping, right? Nothing else. It's not going to be a paywall behind the war room. Good grief, we wouldn't last 5 minutes. Don't be daft. Right. So I just want to say, if you are enjoying it, help old Ruff out and smash that like button for me. That would be.
That's another way they can help support the show.
And
hitting the like button, and also, for the love of God, leave a comment on after the live stream is over. If you have to go and then go to dinner and you come home, come back to the live stream and leave a comment and just say, "Oh, what a great show," or whatever. Because the more comments you leave,
comments is
the
good.
more this will get sent out to people, and the more people will come and view it.
Which is why I say, if you can't think of anything to say, just put replay family, and the algorithm picks that up as a comment with words. Yeah. So if you just want to go replay family,
I will say, I think I can speak for all three of us that we do read them.
Yes,
absolutely.
We do read them, and we do consider them as we move to the next week, into the next shows.
And because I don't know about Ruff for sure, but I'm sure Ruff will comment. But for me, anytime someone leaves a comment, I always try to reply back to them. So I always try to say, "Hey, thanks for the comment," or "Yeah, I appreciate that," or "Oh, good job," or "Yes, Ruff is really dumb, just ignore him," things like that. So, I mean, I always try to leave a comment to let you know that I've read your comments.
I always, if it's a comment that doesn't need a reply, I always click the little heart just to say I've read your comment. Thank you.
Okay. Extra Squeaky's comment. There we go. Jester told me what a great show. Oh man!
As I say in my videos, leave a comment. I always encourage them because I love to read them, and I do love to read them.
We want to answer James. We want to answer James's question. What's the name of the Facebook page, Jester?
James, don't you know?
Oh my gosh! Let's bring it up. Let me show you what it is.
James is a great place to be on Facebook.
Yeah,
let me share it with you here. Let me preset share the screen. I want to share my little window with you.
I'm just copying the link. So let me.
There are 315 people on the Facebook now.
There we are. I've just put a link in the chat. That's the link to the Facebook page, right?
Which I'm curious because I never knew. What's the where did the name come from?
Well, it's tactical and upwards.
Tactical and upwards, yeah. So tactical level wargaming and up. Tactical level.
In other words, it's just one of the flash name for Wargaming channel.
So here's Patrick Pence talking about Combat Commander. He just completely destroyed Cardboard Commander in his playthrough. Just wiped the floor with them. It was a complete annihilation. So I should have no problem with them tomorrow night as well. Then we have Nordic here showing his Stonewall Jackson. Here's Jerry James also doing a video on Wargame box art.
Which I also saw that Wise Guy History did one as well on box art earlier this week.
Like we set the trend there, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
We had the first one.
Yep, and so we don't.
Welcome, James. Is all I can say. Welcome.
And James, so since you're new, every January we post a 10-game challenge. People come up with a list of 10 games they're going to play in that year. They have the whole year to play them. And if you do, you can win prizes at the end of the game or at the end of the year. So we will have that again in January. If you're around, make sure you participate with that.
And James, I just added you and approved you to be part of the group. So welcome.
Brilliant. So welcome aboard.
All right, welcome. You're number 316. Congratulations, James. Welcome aboard.
Cardboard Commander is for his video on box art. Wise Guy History inspired him, not gesture.
Just saying, us over here, and I think in some parts of Europe as well, it's a bit windy. We've got, as I was talking in the green room before we started, one tree outside our house has fallen down. Luckily, it fell across the other way, but yeah, and not a sapling, a tree.
Which,
so,
by the way, Ruff, I heard that you're becoming famous.
Yes, we heard all about it.
I couldn't go out. My wife's been out today to a carol singing service at the church because two of our friends are in the choir. There's a choir there, and she went along with the mother-in-law, that one, and talking away. And he said, we've got friends in Portugal. We went out there, talking away, and he's looking on his shelves. He said, oh, you got board games there. And he goes, yeah, I love them. And he said, oh, there's a couple of war games as well. What's all that about? He said, I love my war games, and he said, one of my friends is YouTuber does that. He goes, what's his name? He goes, Rough Swordsman War Game. He goes, not Ruffy, he's my favourite. So right over in Portugal, whoever you are, sir, thank you for your support. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird that people know you and don't know them.
It is weird because we don't consider ourselves celebrity, but when I went to Buckeye Game Fest this year, somebody came up to me at Buckeye Game Fest and said, are you ID Jester? I said, yeah. He said, oh, I've been watching you for years, blah, blah, blah. And he, shook my hand and, wanted to get a picture with me. I'm like, oh, sure. Took a picture and I'm like, wow, this is weird. I don't consider myself a celebrity or anything. So it's weird when people want to.
It's weird when people know you and you go, ooh,
I don't know about that. Yeah, but it's fun. Fun meeting you guys. That's for sure. I got to meet a couple of you guys when I went to Buckeye Game Fest. I played with you and went out to lunch with a couple of people, and I think it was trying to remember who was we went out to lunch with or dinner. Actually, it was dinner. It's been a long time, but yeah, it's always fun. Oh, we got a super chat! Wow.
Now that's made it awkward. You see. So that's my super chat you've just clicked on.
Oh, nice, Ruff. I want a third of that money.
I've got to separate that. Not that I get a lot of super chats. I think I've only had 2, and you're the second, William. Thank you so much, sir. We'll sort that out, and I'll put that away somewhere for the thing. But yeah, great. Yeah, if you want to click the super chat button on much, that'd be wonderful. But no, thanks, William, and I'll sort that out. Put that $5 away. And
that might be what we end up doing in the long run. Who knows? We still haven't made up anything. We haven't made any decisions or anything.
So thank you, William.
Ken, you're gonna miss Jester's Jeopardy. Come back later. Thanks, buddy.
Is he going?
Since I think our topic might take a little bit, I thought maybe we would do our segments now and to give us more time. And if we end up wrapping it early, that's fine. But I thought just in case that it does run a little bit longer, because last week's show, we were kind of getting real close to the end because our topic was getting quite extensive. So
we have to with our segments, we're going to have to limit it to like 5 to 10 minutes a piece. Sometimes we get to talking about it and having a good time. And sometimes our little segments end up being 20 minutes. So we're going to have to be cognizant to make them a little bit quicker. Okay.
Okay. Well, when you're running the show,
I will. When I'm done in the show.
I couldn't help that one. That was right there.
It was wide open for that one. Wide open for that.
Okay. Whatever.
I'm
just trying to help.
I know. I'm just messing with you, Jester.
That's $10. That's $10 we've got.
All right. Look at the donations coming in. Look at that.
Yeah, but you're
Lovely.
putting them into my channel. That's the
Well,
only thing.
you got $9.99 now.
Yeah.
That's why you wanted to host, Ruff. I got
No,
you.
it's,
All right.
it just makes it awkward.
He did, Cardboard Commander. He did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jester, why don't you start us off on your segment then?
Okay. I'm going to
And,
try to be as quick as humanly possible.
Thank you. Anyway, thank you.
As I get this ready here, I will say this one more time.
We'll make sure
We're
that
counting down the top 500 games. And there we go. Number 120. We're going to go from 120 down to 111. Next week, 110 down to 100. And then we have just the top 100 left after that, and after next week. Fighting Formations, Deutschland. Motorized Infantry Division. This is by Chad Jensen, GMT. Awesome game. Have you tried this one yet?
Can't get it. It's not being P500.
It's hard. Yeah, I got a copy.
You can get the expansion, but not the original game.
I got it because Nerd Workshop went to one of the GMTs and they had a few copies on the shelf, and he said, "Hey, I know a guy looking for a copy." And they said, "Oh, we're not selling those or whatever." And they ended up coming back and saying, "Yeah, we can sell this to you." And he bought it for me. So that's the only reason I have it. So thanks to Nerd Workshop. Love the dude. He's awesome. Thanks for thinking of me. So I appreciate it.
Yes,
2 players, great infantry tactical game.
Played that game. It is good fun.
Nate, I'm sure you would never have even heard of this one.
I have heard of Fighting Formations, the Gross Deutschland.
Okay. It does have like infantry, it's tactical.
No.
So didn't know if you would have heard of it. It's cool though. It's very cool. It's got a Euro mechanic that you
DJ Flip, it doesn't like it.
that you can talk about in your little
and as Mike says the new Fighting Formations 29th Infantry Division
It's standalone, yeah.
Yep, coming soon. All right, number 119, Warfighter. We can just bypass this one. This is worthless.
Get out of it.
Tactical.
Lock and load, gentlemen. Lock and load.
No, that's DVG.
I know, but it's Warfighter. Ruff loves it. It's his favorite. So we have to
Burning Banners. We talked about this one last week. It keeps dropping. Look at it keep going up.
Wasn't for me.
Oof.
No, I love my fantasy.
Yeah,
No.
it's down to number 118 now already. A lot of people loving this game. Just came out. Fantasy, your favorite, Nate. Fantasy tactical game.
Fantasy tactical, your favorite. Yeah.
Next up, Battle Cry, 150th Civil War Anniversary Edition. I got Battle Cry this year. I played it once. It's not a bad game. Commands and Colors. You've heard of it. We all love it.
But it uses
Pretty
miniatures instead of blocks.
It does have miniatures instead of blocks. There you
It's
go.
a bit more like Memoir 44, for Napoleon.
Yeah, exactly.
Memoir is fun.
Oh, look at that. 116 World in Flames. We talked about this one earlier.
Giant.
Look at that.
Yeah, there's your game. Look,
Love that game.
I've never played it and I'm frightened to buy it.
Look at that.
massive.
Oh, my God. You got yellow counters, green counters, blue counters, red counters, purple counters, white counters, black counters. You name it, it's got a counter for it.
It's got a bit of a footprint as well.
Mm-hmm.
1754 Conquest of French and Indian War, 2017 from Academy Games. Great game. I've played this, actually. It's got cubes. I'm not even going to call them blocks. It's got cubes.
That's fine. That's fine.
Looks like a Euro game. Almost something we could talk about today. Just saying.
Yeah.
Number 114, Persecutions.
How dare you, DJ?
It's
The Peloponnesian War.
It's
the
called
GMT.
Pericles, the Peloponnesian War.
That's what I said.
Pericles,
Sure.
not Pericles.
Pericles. It's got another like Euro mechanic in it as well.
It is.
How many of these are going to have Euro mechanics in it? It's
Ruff,
crazy.
I'll have him pronounce that word.
You can talk about that during your segment.
Landmark, that's easy.
113, Pursuit of Glory. Look at that, Ruff.
Yes. Yeah, I've got to play them. I've got them.
Yep, I know. You got to get it out and play it. It's a good one. It's a good one.
And I've got the solo thing. I don't know how it's going to work, but
yeah, it's definitely a good one. Number 112 is going to be Battle War 2006.
they're taking a mick. They're taking a Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jay played Versailles
War,
1919.
Command and Colors, Fantasy, right up Nate's alley, right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Level Fantasy War.
Not interested in history whatsoever.
History.
And 111 Space Hulk from
Oh.
Games Workshop. It's actually a system that people really, really love. Really, really love. And they got computer games on it and all kinds of things. I didn't get it. I mean, I got the computer game and tried it. It's okay, but
Yeah,
people love it.
I was more into sort of the fantasy side of it rather than the
Done.
You know.
Stop your timer. What do you got? Time.
Oh, I gave up after 5 minutes.
yeah.
After 5 minutes. Why is everyone got to get on me tonight? I tell you, good Lord.
It makes a change.
It does.
Wow. All right.
But we still love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm afraid so.
Oh, there is something I can do about it. See you all later. Bye.
You dare.
All right, Ruff, why don't you let us know what happened today in history?
Well, actually, nothing much. Nothing much. Today.
Really?
Nothing much happened, no. 1904 we start with. Oh, no, we don't. 16. We'll go right back. 1642. The Battle of Tadcaster took place during the First English Civil War when the Earl of Newport's royalist force attacked Lord Fairfax's parliamentarian garrison at Tadcaster in Yorkshire.
I was watching the Cromwell movie the other night.
Which one? The one with Richard Harrison?
Yep.
Yeah, not very accurate.
No,
I must
but it's
say.
fun.
But it is a good film. The other one to watch is the one with To Kill a King.
Yes.
I think that's great. That's a great film, but it's a bit sort of later on in the thing. But yes, but after the town had been vacated by the parliamentarians, Newcastle advanced his forces, subsequently garrisoning Pontefract Castle and a number of other towns in the area, cutting Fairfax off from the West Riding of Yorkshire. Unfortunately, it's not in the old musket and pike English Civil War thing. It's not in there. But yep, that's today. 1904. This is just interesting. Comparative fuel trials begin between warship HMS Spiteful and HMS Petrel. Spiteful was the first warship powered solely by fuel oil, and the trials led to the obsolescence of coal in ships of the Royal Navy.
Interesting.
1917, World War I, of course. The United States declares war on Austria-Hungary. And then we whiz forward to something that happened today, 1941. The day that will live in infamy, attack on Pearl Harbor. The Imperial Japanese Navy carries out a surprise attack on the United States Pacific Fleet and its defending Army and Marine Air Forces at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The Empire of Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor was preceded by months of negotiations between the United States and Japan over the future of the Pacific. Japanese demands included that the United States end its sanctions against Japan, cease aiding China in the Second Sino-Japanese War, and allow Japan to access the resources of the Dutch East Indies. Anticipating a negative response, Japan sent out its naval attack groups in November 41, just prior to receiving the Hull Note, which states the United States desire that Japan withdraw from China and French Indochina, and Japan intended the attack as a preventative action. Its aim was to prevent the United States Pacific Fleet from interfering with its planned military actions in Southeast Asia against overseas territories of the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and the United States. Over the course of 7 hours, Japan conducted coordinated attacks on the US-held Philippines, Guam, and Wake Island, and on the British Empire in Malaya, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So a big day for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, remembrance. And it's great that it's it's great, but it's great it's a Saturday and we can talk about it and have it mentioned. So what have we got? 1942, World War II, of course. British commandos conduct Operation Frankton, a raid on shipping in Bordeaux harbour. Operation Frankton was a commando raid on ships in the German-occupied French port of Bordeaux in southwest France during World War II. The raid was carried out by a small unit of Royal Marines known as the Royal Marine Boom Patrol Detachment, part of the Combined Operations. Inserted by HMS Tuna, captained by Lieutenant Commander Dick Rakes, who earlier had been awarded the DSO for operations while in command of the submarine HMS Seawolf. The Royal Marine Boom Patrol Detachment would later form the Special Boat Service. And this thing is dramatized in the 1955 movie The Cockleshell's Heroes. So if you want to know what that's all about, it was madness. They went out in these collapsible blooming dinghy things, sticking on limpet mines and all that sort of thing. Yeah, The Cockleshell Heroes. Look for it. It's a colour movie, even though it's 1955. Top movie of 1956. Shut up, Ruff, move on. Right. 1977. First flight of the Lockheed Have Blue. The Lockheed Have Blue was the code name for Lockheed's proof of concept demonstrator for a stealth fighter. Have Blue was designed by Lockheed's Skunk Work division and tested at Groom Lake, Nevada. The Have Blue was the first fixed-wing aircraft whose external shape was defined by radar engineering rather than by aerospace engineering. The aircraft's faceted shape was designed to deflect electromagnetic waves in directions other than that of the originating radar emitter, greatly reducing its radar cross-section. 2 were made, both are now destroyed, but of course it was developed into the Lockheed F-117A Nighthawk. And I know you want to see a picture of it. So we'll show you. It's a weird looking thing.
Get your magnifying glasses out, boys.
Well, here we go. Let's share the screen and we get that up and look at that. Weird looking thing. So it looks very much like the other one, but yeah, that developed.
You see the Nighthawk coming from that for sure.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I did have one where it showed you the side and front. It was like a drawing, but I thought I'd put up I don't know if that's one of the original 2. Stop it. You can see it. Stop it. Naughty. I can make it bigger. Whoa. There we go. So
historic wings, that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I knew that would tweak Thomas's interest, and I think one more thing. A bit of a sad thing, but 2022, the death of the last surviving dam buster, George Leonard Johnny Johnson, aged 101. He was a bomb aimer in the 617 Squadron, which destroyed vital dams in Germany's industrial Ruhr Valley during the Second World War. And that's today. What's going on, really? Some big things.
Big things, yeah.
Well, for my segment, I actually have 3 things. 3 things to show people today, which is kind of unusual. But because today is a day that will live in infamy, I thought I would share a book, probably one of my favorite books on the subject. I don't have it on hand with me because a friend is borrowing it, but I will share this book called The Threshold of War, Franklin Roosevelt, an American Entry into World War II. This covers in a chronologically month to month and I think it's the year, if I'm remembering correctly, the year before the Japanese attacked at Pearl Harbor, and it walks you through what's happening in the cabinet, in the state office, in the Imperial Japanese Command, in the Imperial Japanese governmental offices, and what's going on. They're discussing what with so and so. Cables going back and forth, and this is a fascinating look into the lead up to World War II for the United States and Pearl Harbor. And I had to read this when I was doing my master's degree in history, and this is such a fascinating book. But yeah, so this book, it is available on Amazon.
Yeah, they also have it on Kindle as well.
It's a little pricey, $38, but it's not bad. Not too bad.
Kindle's only 19.
Yeah. I do find it funny here where you can get free delivery in June.
In June.
If you order it now, it says on Amazon you can
Our
get
fastest delivery, June 17th.
But so that book, since we were talking about Pearl Harbor and how horrible that I'm sure that day was, that book really gives a really interesting look into the U.S.'s entry into World War II with Pearl Harbor. The other book I wanted to show is this book, Niall Ferguson, The War of the World. And this looks at the Second World War, and it's kind of asking a question about kind of recontextualizing World War II and what is World War II? Is World War II really a global war that we would call it as a world war, or is this more of a what he would describe as almost a civil war between the West and with
this is that Niall Ferguson again, is it? He's always controversial, isn't he?
Yeah, because he did the one on World War I, The Pity of War. And so then he followed it up with a book on World War II.
He always looks at it from a sort of maybe controversial angle,
which may or may not agree with, but it's fascinating to consider, and it gives you a lot of different contexts to think about when you're looking at World War II.
You're going to have trouble. Tom hasn't picked up.
Oh no! Just one. Start with one. And so I also wanted to share, though, that in addition to the Ferguson's War of the World book, I'll share this. There is a documentary series that he did for the BBC a few years ago in conjunction that follows the book. So if you want to either consume the book, which I would absolutely recommend, but if you don't want to, you can get you can watch the documentary series, and that kind of gives you the nuts and bolts of this book. So that's Nate's notes. Guess what? I did that in 5 minutes.
I must have gone over.
You did.
Yeah, because of that day in infamy. Yeah.
So now we go to our topic.
Yes, we do.
What can war games learn from non-war games? Just for a moment, I thought
that is kind of so that kind of brings up a question about your question, because that's kind of all right. What can wargaming learn from non-wargaming?
Well, first, lock and load.
Lock and load, always. As I said in the description for the show, I said a bit of a sandbox question. Could possibly encompass design, designers, the look of the game, the rule sets, etc., or should never the twain meet? So lots to talk about, you know.
Also, you could be comparing apples and oranges as well. It's like, what can an orange learn from an apple? Because there are two different kind of They're two different kinds of things, but I can see where you're going for. So I'm not going to go down that path of apples and oranges.
Sure. I said, or should never the twain meet? You know, are they apples and oranges?
Sure.
You know, so
I got a lot of things. I got a lot of things to say about it. But go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I want to kind of do kind of something like I appreciated how you ran last week, Jester. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. I appreciated, Jester, how you kind of ran things in terms of looking at things categorically in different categories. And I kind of wanted to approach the topic in the same way, in that when we're looking at specifically what can war games learn from non-war games, I mentioned earlier, I know we emailed about this, Euro games and Ameritrash, and I know they are different. They're their own separate categories as well. But I'm thinking more in specifically Euro games because they're larger. They're more of a bigger audience.
Take care, Nordic.
Hey, goodbye. Have a good evening. And
see you later, Nordic. Thanks, buddy.
GBOH in the new year, maybe. But I wanted to start with first. I think we'll kind of start at the beginning, the outside of the box, and work our way in. Again, we'll go back to box cover. What can war games learn from non-war game box covers?
There's an apple and orange chap. Yeah, they're coming in, and every opinion is, of course, valid, because it's your opinion.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think?
Right, nothing's wrong.
What do you think, starting from the outside, the way that the initial presentation, when you see a war game box and a non-war game box, is there anything that the war games can learn from the non-war gaming?
First thing is what I would see is when you look at Euro games, there is a certain size of the Euro box.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because there are war game shells that you can buy that are specifically designed for the size of your box of your games. Mm-hmm. So one thing war games could do is to standardize their sizes of their box and use that over and over and over and over and over again, which GMT has done a great job of that. If you look at GMT, most of their games are the same size boxes. I'm talking about height and width. Right. There's either 1 inch or 2 inch or 3 inch width, but they're always the same height.
Sure.
So that's kind of the one thing I just right off the bat, wargaming can learn. Make your boxes the same size. It looks better on the shelves. It makes people want to put their games out in the living room as opposed to the back closet. Because if you got an organized looking shelf with games out there, it looks nicer. Second thing that goes along with that is most Euro games on the side have a nice picture and detailed information about the game on the side of the box, because that's what most people see is the side of the box. Wargaming could also do that. Most war games on the side just have the name of the game on it, or maybe a little bit of art. But I think they could learn to put better art on the side of the box, because most people are going to have the side of the box facing you.
I think
that would be my original.
We're getting a lot of comments coming in, which is great.
Yep.
So that's what I have to say about that. Ralph, what do you think?
Okay.
From the outside of the box, I mean, they're getting better. I mean, we looked at Wolfpack. I mean, it's still here. I've got to do an unboxing. I mean, Invocative, great. The size, they're all the same. I'm grateful. Height-wise, I'm grateful because it's non-war games I have a problem with because they're all over the place, the size of the games. Just for storage. I mean, but now look at this one. This one I've just shown you. Look at that. That looks more like a Euro box game.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a war game. I mean, the art on that looks really cool. I like the art on that. It's very evocative of the Vietnam War. I want them to be that size. Because originally we like things like Avalon Hill and all that were called bookshelf games, weren't they? So they fit into a bookshelf. So I'm happy with the size of the boxes. I have problems with my non-war games, which you can see are all different shapes and sizes, if you could see them. Sorry. But yeah.
I mean, I would agree with like what Coy mentions, that a box at least physically large enough to put everything in, to organize.
That's the one problem with war games generally, which is why they're having to bring out the 3-inch boxes for things like Downfall and Normandy. When they bring out, if they're going to bring out a mounted map,
maps,
why don't they just bring out a mounted map?
What am I going to do with this, Nate? What am I going to do with this?
Yeah, exactly.
It won't fit in my.
I have an address you can send it to. Don't worry, Jester. I'll pay you for the shipping.
Oh, no, you won't, liar.
You bet I would.
That's what everyone says. They're going to pay me.
I'll pay you before you ship it.
That would be good if they, counter trays and all that. But I can't understand why they do that. Yes, I've been going on about this as well for just put a counter tray.
Totally agree.
But then why bring out things like Downfall in the normal size box and then suddenly go, we're going to bring out a mounted map
and a 3-inch box,
and in a 3-inch box. So now I'm going to have 2 boxes, or I'm going to have a box. Why not just charge a little bit extra and say this is the box in 3 inches with a mounted map? Blah blah blah. We'll put the paper map in it as well in case you don't like mounted maps, because some people don't. And then it's sorted. I did get a little bit frustrated, with things like, as I say, this that ain't going to go in the box.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
I know that was a late addition, but yes. So there's things to learn. Generally speaking, I mean, okay, I've talked about Explore It, and they bring out the expansions, but they brought out the hero box so you can put all the stuff in, because it's a series of games as well. But yeah, that's my only sort of bugbear.
Yep. Now I would go with me. I agree with what you both said. I think Phoenix Knight also makes a good point. They're worse if you want to sleeve your cards. That's what's
they don't take into account, that non-war gamers tend to do that, sleeve their cards, whereas war gamers go, ooh, sleeve, clip, get out of here.
Which I appreciate when, like, for instance, like Cube for me does those trays things for specific war games, and they actually put options, this with sleeves or this without sleeves, if you have cards in the game, and it tells you this is what we could fit everything in the box, or the box is going to be just up just a little bit if you have your cards with certain grading of sleeves, thickness of sleeves. So I appreciate.
I never use penny sleeves because they're too big anyway for a sort of normal poker sized card, and they crackle, and they're not. I want a sleeve. So but that's me.
Now I will say, this was something I was having a discussion with someone earlier in the week, and I will share my screen. And that one thing that the person I was talking to, when I asked this question for our topic, they responded with the way that the appeal of the box and it draws you into the theme, that non-war games seem to draw you deeper into the theme more quickly than war games. And one example that I'll share is this: Arkham Horror. You see the box, you instantly know kind of what it's, a Lovecraftian horror theme, but you also are curious. Why are these people in a car? Why are they trying to run away? Like this thing, why is this thing going after them? And it evokes, the artwork to some may look a little cartoony, but there does seem to be a uniqueness in the art of it's drawing the potential player into wanting to open that box and find out more. And I'll give you an example of a recent war game that I think did that very well and took that into account. And this is a war game, but it took the lessons of like the Arkham Horror, SAS Rogue Regiment. This is a war game. And I've heard people say that they were a little concerned about the artwork, that maybe it was a little cartoony, but then
isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that Euro and Ameritrash games, they don't mind the sort of more cartoony sort of look of the game, whereas a war gamer, I mean, I looked at that and I thought, no,
right?
It's too cartoony. How are you going to win?
But yet it's wildly popular.
Yes, it is.
Lots of expansions coming out, and I think that like that box cover is very evocative of the theme, and you're instantly curious what's going on here. Why are obviously they're running away from the Germans, but what's the reason? What mission are they on? What's
they got
going on?
Everything in the kitchen sink going after them.
Right. And so it looks like something like out of a movie.
Yeah.
Like a World War II movie. And so it uses the imagery to get you to be curious enough to pick up that box and explore it more, as opposed to just look at it and keep going. So I think that's something that war games can learn, and some are starting to learn. And I would put Wolfpack in there as a great example of a game that you look at the box and you are instantly curious about what's going on. It's dark, it's foreboding, it's the mid-Atlantic, there's the silent submarine going out, and it evokes a lot of that imagery. So moving to the next part of it, so now we've covered the outside, so now we're going to look at component wise everything that's inside that box. Mounted maps. A lot of your games use cubes and cards, and the quality of the cards themselves, if they're on like a linen finish or not, whether some games come with storage in them or not. What's y'all's thoughts? Jester, we'll start with you again.
All right. Well, the first thing I would say when I open a war game and when I open a Euro game, the biggest difference between those is the Euro game seems to be more organized with how are you going to put everything back together. There's a lot of games. I just opened up one last night called Nemo's War. It had this super advanced plastic counter in it to put all the different pieces in it and different things. And of course I was like, nope, tearing that out of there, because I'm used to just throwing everything back in the box, because that's the way I've done things for years and years. Euro gamers like to have everything neat and organized and put it all back in their little compartments and stuff. To be honest, I don't think any war game out there, they always come with their little inserts, and I always get rid of these stupid inserts. I don't know why they continue to use inserts.
Sticker counter.
They never work. Nobody ever uses them. They only take up space. They don't do their job. If you're going to put an insert in there, put it a plastic insert that's specifically designed for a purpose. That's what Euro games do. And it works well. Wargaming could learn a lot from that. That's just taking the box and opening it up and looking at it. Second thing I will say about that, and this is critical for Wargaming to learn this, is when you take the lid off, the first thing you should see is a note or a page that says, this is what you should do to learn this game. Read this or play this or do this. Like Mr. President. Remember how when you opened the box to Mr. President, there was a letter there that said, hey, here, you're starting your campaign. This is what you need to do to learn how to play this game. This is critical for wargaming, because most of us, when we open a war game, we don't know what to do and how to learn it and everything. It's new to us, and it has to have something in there when you open it up to tell you this is what you do to learn the game.
Yep. By the way, just wanted to say to Tony that he's here. Great job on your thesis presentation. It was awesome. Loved it.
You were shorter than I thought you were. Joking.
But Jester, I think that you make a really great point. When you open that box, your first impressions really can like influence your whole like interaction with that game. I really liked when I opened Mr. President and saw that letter, because it's tradition for every president to leave a letter on the Resolute desk when the new president comes in. And it's, a letter of, I have a great time. Enjoy your time in the office. Here are some concerns that I have, but enjoy living in the White House, kind of thing. And it's been a tradition for many, many, many years. And it was awesome to see when I opened, because I didn't know it. I didn't know when I got the game and opened the box, and I knew, oh, I know what this letter is.
But yeah, no, agree. But again, it's not a war game, is it? They could learn. I mean, the nearest we got is, again, Atlantic Chase, is when you open the rule book, it says, don't read the rule book.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. Well, that should be on the top there. When you open the box, it should say, hi, thanks, this is the game. Don't read the rule book. I want you to do this. 1, 2, 3. And you're off, because we'll just read the rule book. Don't read what's written in the book. Don't read the rule book. Get out of here. So, lots to learn. Also, the quality of cards, the playing cards in non-Wargame, and that's both Ameritrash and Euro, tend to be a higher quality. So they actually, I will still sleeve the swines, but they seem to be, Eon's End, they got a nice feel to them. And the cards in Nemesis and the cards in Hexplore It, all very nice. Whereas some of the cards are just sort of stamped out bits of cardboard, and you can't. And GMT, I love GMT, we all do, but their cards I have to sleeve because they're not of a quality that you can't. For me, anyway, right. to manipulate them easily, shuffle them easily.
Yep.
I don't know doing that every time I deal out cards. So yeah, I think little details like qualities of cards. I mean, other component wise, like counters and that, we're getting there. Non-war games, bang 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 bang, and they're out. Yeah.
Which I've noticed that GMT is
and it's great. I do like me clipping, but yes, it's great. Not sure how you're going to do it with things like, even with Panzer, with God knows how many counter sheets, because the box would be that to pack it up,
Sure.
But they're getting there. They're getting there.
Have any of you had where you've gotten a sheet where you have to punch out the cards?
You mean that? The old game? I mean, Ambush was like that.
Something like that. I've had some war games, some newer war games, where you could you didn't have to do that, but you could tell that the cards originally were that, and then the publisher then put them together. And that I didn't care for that.
No. I mean, you expect it in an old like Ambush or
been a long time for that. Yeah, I've got these old games right there. Actually, have those old cards that were, you have to kind of tear them, perforated edges on them and stuff. You got that little fuzzy stuff all along the edge of them.
Now,
it's been a long time since I've seen
when
that.
it comes to components as well, it does seem to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've only played a handful of non-war games, but it seems to me, I know that all of them come with, all of the non-war games that I've played come with mounted maps. And the mounted maps seem to lay flat instantly. That there doesn't need to be any sort of back bending or putting plexi on top to flatten it. Whereas some war game ones, the mounted maps are very nice. They're thick, they're sturdy, but they do take some time to flatten out. In fact, I have the downfall map flattening right now.
When I do an unboxing, it's got a mounted map. I say, apologies, just got it out of the box. It's a little bit uneven. But all you do is just get some of your games and stick it on top overnight, and you're sorted. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Sure.
Yeah, it is an issue. I think, as Nate has said, there is not a single Euro game that I can see anywhere in my collection that doesn't come with a mounted map. It is standard. I
Yep.
don't know why Wargames continue to use paper maps.
I think some
Maybe
people
some people prefer the paper maps.
They
I
do,
don't know,
they do.
but
But put them
I
both
think it should be standard now to have mounted maps, or you have two different versions. You sell a map version and you sell a mounted map version of the box.
I'm
You
right
are
here
now,
with
James.
James. I love mounted maps.
I love the mounted maps. I will only use the mounted maps. If I have to buy, and that's the other thing, you have to order them separately with some games. Other games, they come included in the games. You're never sure.
There is that.
This is more economical for smaller print runs. Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Maybe that's why they do it separately. But then again, it's a whole, I don't know. Do I have to buy the mounted maps? Does it come with the mounted maps? It should just be, it should be a lot simpler in ordering your stuff. I didn't realize France 40 didn't come with mounted maps, because Normandy 44 comes with mounted maps.
Does it?
Why doesn't France 40 come with mounted maps?
I remember buying Normandy's separate mounted map.
It was that good old buy the 3-inch box with the mounted map in. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, why didn't France come with it? So then I had to order the France maps separately, because I'm like, I gotta have the mounted maps.
Yeah, if for monster games, then I can see paper maps just because they're so big.
Can you picture the box?
I don't know. I mean, look at Knock Paris, which is a huge game, and that's all mounted maps.
No, it's not. It's paper maps.
I thought it was.
No, it's paper maps. I mean, it's thick paper, so it lays flat and it's nice. But
okay.
What's that?
Yeah, it's kind of like a canvas map almost.
Which one?
Knock Paris.
Oh, Knock Paris. Yeah, it's still. Yeah, it's that weird and the same
like
sort of
linen
stuff in Musket and Pike. That's very similar. Type of stuff.
Yep. I mean, some people they don't care
whether prefer paper and plexi.
Yep. Some people they prefer those. I think it's because, I think what you're seeing here is is that there is sort of a divide amongst the kind of older generation of war gamers and a newer generation of war gamers, where older ones, all of the traditional older war games all came with paper maps, or that, like Avalon Hill, they would come on like small sheets of mounted maps that you would put together. And but generally paper was the standard issue. SPI or Victory Games, that was the standard. Whereas now people like my age and younger, who probably came from Euro games first and then went into war games, they're used to mounted maps. They're used to seeing that. That becomes becoming more and more of the standard accepted thing. I see that normally when I see a war game announced and someone puts it on BGG, usually one of the first questions is this going to be a mounted map? So yeah, I think it's
and you're saying, what can wargaming learn, right? If you're trying to get more people to play your game, you should have mounted maps, whether you want to or not, because a lot of Euro gamers are not going to play on paper maps. It's just not going to happen because they're just not used to doing that.
Oh yeah, Meander and Mike. I have a couple of Avalon Hill ones. Yes.
Yeah, we know. Well, DVG, with their mounted maps, they're great, they're mounted boards, but they're very, very shiny. I mean, I like them from a point of videoing. That you don't have so much worrying about how the lighting looks. But yeah,
I think it just has to do with what people were used to. And that's just kind of, I mean, you said Avalon Hill had mounted maps, but like SPI, Victory Games, a bunch of others.
I mean, ASL, the first edition of ASL has mounted boards. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, even Squadly.
Panzer Grenadier, the first edition of Panzer Grenadier had mounted maps. I mean, mounted maps were the thing back in the 70s and 80s, they had mounted maps back then. So
Could have been maybe, I don't know the reason. Maybe the printing was cheaper back then for mounted maps.
could be.
No?
I mean, the shipping probably was not as expensive back then too. Now they want to charge an arm and a leg because our little post store worker can't carry your package because it weighs too much.
Yeah. I mean, you're right here.
Are we talking about all components? Because I got other things to say about components.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm curious. That's why I just said all components. So go ahead.
Are we talking about rule books as part of the components, or is that separate?
No, just everything else but the rule books.
Okay, so
clarify.
Okay.
Counters, is that part of components?
I'm sorry?
Counters, is that part of components?
Everything but rule books. I want to talk about rule books separately.
Okay. I would say as far as components, I would say what wargaming can learn is obviously to make things more punchable when they can. I know Wolfpack, which just came out, had some counters that you had to punch out and clip because what for whatever reason, but they also had some that you could just punch out. There was some round circles, there was some triangle pieces or whatever. So that was an improvement. I think Wargaming's learning to do that. Make it more easy to get the game playable quicker. Much quicker.
I didn't know that, Edward. All right. That's interesting.
Yep. No, I think you're right. I think you're right there.
What other components things can I think about?
But again,
I agree with Ruff when he says the quality of the cards. There is a difference in the quality of the cards. Eurogaming is just better all the way around. Just the other thing I would say about components is we just kind of mentioned this as the gloss factor. Since I'm a YouTuber, I don't like to have a lot of glossy things on my thing. Now, it's not just Wargame that has glossy. There are like, Flying Frog or whatever has a lot of glossy stuff on their games. So they're a real problem to videotape.
Yep. Ruff, did you have any last comments on components, or are we safe to move on to rule?
Well, no, I'm just thinking that we are learning with GMT and VUCA as well. Their component, their counters, punch. The only thing, I don't know how they do it in non-war games and things like, again, Hexplore and other games. When you punch out the counter, you don't get any little nibs.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. I don't know how they do that. Whereas other games that have punched out, or war games that have punched out, those nibs, like Panzer Grenadier went through a sort of era of it where you had the nibs on the corners, because I know you've got to hold the counter in the sort of thing to stop them falling out. But they're learning. But Compass do it as well. They just fall out. They have to wrap theirs in cling film, but otherwise they just fall out. So they are learning. Yep. I don't want to, I love my punching, but if I get a game that's, I get a bit disappointed. I don't have to clip it, and I think, and then that only lasts momentarily, and then it's like, oh, okay, at least I can get on with the game now. So we are learning. The war game community, generally speaking, is learning.
Now, moving to rule books, though, because Jester, you sort of gave a hint to what your thoughts were about opening the box and what you would find in the box. So I'm curious what concerning rule books, I mean, obviously the complexity of war games is just naturally going to be more than Euro non-war games. It's a fact of life. So rule books are obviously going to be bigger in war games, generally speaking, than non-war games. I'm curious looking as what can war games learn in terms of their layout and the approach to learning.
I'm going to tell you right off the bat what the biggest thing wargaming can do with their rule booklets. I don't care if you got 1,000-page rule booklet. All you have to do to make everyone happy is to make it 5 rule books that are 20 pages each. Any rule book over 20 to 30 pages drives everyone nuts. Euro gamers, war gamers, anything. If you got a 70-page rule booklet, make it 3 rule booklets. Make it 20, 20, and 25 pages, and everyone's happy.
I think you're right.
Nobody out there wants a rule book more than 20 to 25 pages. It doesn't matter.
If you open a rule book and it's 60, 70, 80 pages, you think the daunting prospect of reading it. If it was split up into smaller ones, part 1, but then you have to write that rule book so it fits into part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and follows like a novel. And that's a big thing to do.
I was not expecting this answer. Different.
Absolutely. If you look at Undaunted Normandy, a war game that's kind of a Euro game. What did they do? They split it up into 3 rule booklets.
Oh.
They split it up into 3 rule booklets, even though it's like 60 to 80 pages. But you got like a 20-page rule booklet, and then you have another rule booklet that's got the scenarios, and then you have another rule booklet that has like a glossary on it. And they've split the rule booklet up like that. Euro gamers love that. Absolutely love it. That's why they did it like that.
I didn't know that. Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that more. I wasn't.
If you look at Mr. President, what did Mr. President do? Mr. President split it up into all those different rule booklets.
That's true.
They didn't make it one big one.
That's true. All the charts and everything are in their own separate booklet. And yeah, I never thought about that.
Can you picture opening Mr. President with just the one rule book?
Yeah, like the first person that picks it up and is like 280 pages, are like, okay, packing it all back up. I'm done. I'm done.
It's could be a psychological thing. Like, oh, look, it's not that bad.
Absolutely. Like Ruff just said.
Hey, John.
If you pick up an 80-page book, you're like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. But if you pick up 4 books that are 20 pages each, you're like, oh, this is going to be simple. It is psychological. It's the same amount of words. It's the same amount of pages. It's just broken up.
Okay.
All right. Take the skill in making the rule books follow on from each other, not making them separate. If you make them separate things that have no relation, one's this and then one's that, and you've got to make them, read on. So when you get to the end of rule book 1, you say, okay, you've got enough to play. Come back to rule book 2 when you're ready,
Edward says here that Purple Haze has separate booklets for each.
Yes, they have. And I'm looking forward to having a look at it. Everybody seems to be quite pleased with this. It's a cross between ambushy and warfightery, and I'm looking forward to that with the expansions as well. But yes, they've done that because it's a European company.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would also say one thing I think I mentioned last show was I liked in Star Wars Rebellion that the first booklet that you saw was a learn to play booklet. And it was kind of just an overview of the whole dynamic of the game. And then there was a rules reference book that if you wanted more detail, then you could go into that, which I did like that.
Eldritch Horror does that.
Okay.
Where you read the rules and it says, don't read this one. That's for when you want to pick out a specific thing that's going on in the game. So you read the rule book, which is not many pages, is it, Jess? It's a few pages. And then you play the game. And if you get stuck, you then get that book out called the rule book or the reference book, and you look up and see if it's explained there. That's a great idea. But again,
if you're looking at rule booklets, obviously the biggest complaint is, we can't make them a block of text anymore. Well, wargaming doesn't do that. They haven't done that for 10 years. Wargaming has learned in the last 10 years to put pictures in and diagrams and to make the make the rule booklet much more visually easy. Don't make it little tiny text, make it big text. So Wargaming has done a great job with that. The biggest thing they've done is, again, they haven't separated everything into little books. Coin games actually do that. They have one, like the new coin game.
This is absolutely true.
Yeah.
That annoys me.
Red Dust Rebellion.
When there's rules on the map and it's not referenced in any of the booklets. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm sorry. I just saw that.
No, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can't remember what I was saying now, but yes.
That's my biggest bugbear.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely
That
the
can be a
sharing your
problem.
knowledge.
That can definitely be a problem.
Okay, so outside of rule books, I'm curious when it comes to what can war games learn from non-war games. What about mechanics, mechanical wise, like how the game functions? What can war games? Obviously, war games are more complex, like I said earlier, than non-war games. But mechanically, what can war games learn from non-war games mechanically? Whichever one is ready and able, go ahead. It could even be not necessarily in the mechanics, but the presentation of the mechanics.
It's hard to use mechanics because you're talking about hex encounter, mostly hex encounter type games,
Sure.
and there's only so much you can do with that. Euro games have a lot bigger variety because they have cubes, they have dice, they have meeples, they have different pieces and parts. Wargaming doesn't necessarily have that, and you can't translate a lot of those things in there.
Okay.
I think Wargame has done a better job of introducing different mechanics as opposed to the same old boring things. I'm just trying to find in my words better example to give you. Bruff, go ahead.
I'm just going to say most war games tend to have a scenario where you've got an objective, and that thing is, you've got two sides battling it out, and that's it. There's nothing you can do. You can bring in things from non-war games, things like how, sort of initiative things that a lot of non-war games use to see who gets to go first and all that. And the other thing, which would be great, but you can't do it, maybe more of a tactical level. Again, I'm using Hexplore it because, it's there. You've got lots of quests going on. So you can pick a quest or you roll for a quest and that's your quest. If they could bring something like that into war games to make them more interesting, that you're playing an overall thing, that suddenly this quest pops up, oh, you've got to get off here and get on with this, rescue somebody or whatever. That would make more interesting wargaming experience narrative. I think what non-war games also have brought into war games is the narrative aspect, where non-war, you have this sort of story going around in your head, and that's coming into especially tactical war games, the theater of the mind, where you're making the story up as you're playing it. I know it's not a new thing, but
that and something where, like, even on cards in some non-war games, there's like even sometimes one sentence of flavor text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that does a lot.
Well, you get that in the coin games.
But
see, the main reason we play these war games is to relive history, right? And I think the biggest thing that wargaming doesn't do is share that history with you. Now, as an example, the coin games. The coin games do a lot of the history, but they're all in a book. Like when you play this card, it tells you card number 47. You go to that section of the book and you read card 47 and it tells you, oh, this is what happened on this date and this time and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't spend that extra effort to look in the book and everything, what I'm thinking is if there is a way to incorporate that into the gameplay, like I don't know how to do it, but it would be like, okay, if I'm going to play this card, I have to learn and I have to read this section of the rule booklet or read this part to find out what the history is so I understand how to play this card. I don't know how you'd incorporate that, but getting the history part of it into the game would be a better part of having people enjoy it, I think.
Sure.
There is an example that does that as well as Cruel Necessity, which is the English Civil War game, which you learn about because the things are on the card, a bit like the coin. When you turn over a card, there's a little bit of history and a flavor text. And the other one that does it, of course, is Malta Besieged. Again, because they're all sort of states of siege games, it's all happening coming into you. But yeah,
now
some do it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know how you're going to do it with the more traditional hex and counter game.
Yeah,
but there
that's
must
the
be
problem,
ways,
right? You can't put all the little history on that little tiny counter. It's like,
come on, GBOH has a fair go at it, but
I think I think something that hex encounters could do is there tends to be, and I like what DJ Flippy mentions earlier about innovation. War games tend to rely on a number of mechanics that they're all
everybody knows them. Yes,
Euro games tend to they try new things a lot, and I think it used to be the other way around. In that, like for example, the card driven game mechanic was invented for war games, and then it moved to Euro games, and Euro games have done a lot with CDGs.
They've taken it and run, haven't they? They've got the deck building games now. You've got this, that, and the other.
Yep.
Yes,
and so I think that's something that can be said is that Euro games try things a lot, which I'm now seeing war games try things a lot. Again, like Downfall is an example. How the initiative works in Downfall, along with the card play, is really interesting to create a World War II narrative. But when it comes to the story thing, one of the things that I think that is a potential problem, I'm not saying this is, but a potential problem is that, as you say, that we want to connect with the history that we're playing. We want to relive that. But the way that it is graphically designed, in the way that with hex encounters, it kind of is, you're taken out of it. You're kind of above it all, looking down in a non-personable way. Whereas, like, I remember when we talked to, I forget how to pronounce his full name, but Greg from VUCA doing his Poland game that's coming out.
yeah,
Forced to Heaven, that he was connecting things more with the history, the hex encounter game, but each of the armies had a picture of the commander of that army. So you could see, like, General Hoth is with these units, Guderian is with these units, as opposed to just seeing the name Guderian. You saw a picture. So it kind of it's personalizing the history. Again, it's bringing characters, because that's what history is. It's all about people making decisions.
And it's got to be done, as Bill says, in a historical outcome that you learn about what's going on as you play the game. Euro games aren't, of course, bound by that, because it's, growing weeks.
Right.
The other thing that I would tend to say that wargaming doesn't do really well, and they can learn from Euro games, is, okay, I got this game set up. What do I do now? There should be, like, some direction to give the player. Okay, do this. Okay, in history, Grant took his left forces and pushed them forward into the right flank of the enemy. Try this. If that doesn't work, then try and use your center artillery to try and soften them up. Something to tell the player. Like when I played France 40, I don't know none of the history. I don't know. All I know is Germany went into France and dominated. I don't know what I was like. I went through the example of play in the rule booklet, which was like half a turn. It's like literally half a turn. And then I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I don't know. I have no idea. Right. It should give players more of a clue as to this is what you should try to do with this scenario.
Sure.
Like,
they do that. You
examples and diagrams and like information on the different parts. And
there is that in some historical text in some of the rule books. I mean, again, another I keep mentioning it, is Operation Dauntless, which does all that. What they should do is incorporate it your first play of the game. Now, historically, X went over here to the left flank and did that, while the other player, who didn't know that was going on, did this. So for your first game, you might want to try and do that historically and see what happens once. And then there's the pointers of how to play the game.
Yep.
Yes.
That's where.
So you're learning what actually happened. And then as you get familiar with the game, you're going to think, tell you what, I'm going to go for the right flank.
Yep. And we talk about this all the time. Learning how to play the game is not learning how to play the game.
Yep. No, I
But
agree.
if that was
Like, there's been
incorporated
many
into
times.
a playbook saying, this is your first play, set this up and play, and what happened historically, play it like this. Because they do playbooks and they say this does this. They don't explain why they do it historically.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
They tell you how to move the things and how to play the game. But
Right.
this is the first phase of how it went historically. Set it up like this, and we'll walk you through.
Yeah.
And you can maybe understand what was going through the minds of the commanders and the generals at the time, regardless of whether it's American Civil War game or World War II game or whatever.
Right.
That would be great for me.
The first game is going to determine whether or not somebody's going to want to try this game and whether or not they want to teach it to their friends and have them play it. If I have a terrible experience, I am not going to want to bring this game to my game club and show it off to my friends.
Yep.
So
Well,
it is imperative that wargaming makes the learning process easy for everyone.
Because what you've got, I know you've got them in non-war games, but you've got strategies and tactics going on, and not everybody can get their head round tactics.
Right.
So it would be nice if there were some pointers in war games about how to play the game tactically correctly. So you learn, you do this because that stops them from doing that.
Right.
Or you do that to soften up the troops before you move in these.
Yeah.
That would be great, and then after, not the whole game, but after a while, a couple of those, and then it's like, right, you're on your own. You've learned enough.
Right.
Wargamers. What is I think there was a video that Wise Guy History did about he called it Wargamers Block, in that you set up these games and then you're just, what do I do? I'm overwhelmed by the gazillion number of choices. And, I'm afraid if I move one piece the wrong way, then the game's going to be over in 10 minutes.
Course, that's what happens in real life. As soon as the first casualty of any battle is the plan, and we know that. But if you're given that pointer just to see, like chess, when you learn chess, they say these are the best openings. This is the best defense. You learn and learn and learn. But I'm not sure,
it's gotta be a learning process to have the player understand, not only, like I said, the example of plays was great, but the problem was it left it hanging there after half a turn. And I was like, what they needed to do was they need to have one full turn, and then they need to have the second turn, but they don't need to go into details the second time because I've got the details from the first turn. The second turn, what they should have is much simpler. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And then by the third turn, you should try to accomplish this on this turn. You should try to accomplish this. If your units aren't made it to these towns, you should try to push to those towns. And it's kind of a progression, as you said, less and less details as you go along.
Which you made me think of, that's one of the things that I liked when I picked up my first GTS, and that when it goes through in getting started with GTS, that it walked you through a scenario like 5 hexes on GTS, and it was like, why are those units there? And what is the zone of control doing? And it was giving me the why
it's there. Like Bill said, why it's there.
Right.
What was there?
And that is so important. If you look at Where Eagles Dare, the very first scenario is a training scenario. There's literally 6 counters on the map. That's all there is. And they're only there to show you the basics of how to play. And then the next scenario, there's like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12 counters on the map. There's not very many counters. And it teaches you how to play the game by just showing you, okay, we're going to take these, and this is how to use all your artillery. This is how to use your infantry, and this is how to use your tanks. And you learn these things as you play instead of throwing everything on the map and going, go to it.
Good luck.
But also things like, this is your first scenario. Remember, these units, don't move them because their purpose is to do this. If you move them, you're going to be in problems. Or you're going to use these units to push forward.
Sure.
And that would help people like me to think, right, that's the tactics. That's
because
what
some people aren't aware, like even in World War II, like certain vehicles, like that a Panzer IV is generally considered as this type of tank. The M10 Hellcat is considered this type of tank. And
this is what we need. And also, I mentioned this, you know, to Keith, I think, Tracton, the designer of War 85. I think he was saying, because unless you're familiar with the ordnance and equipment that was around in the 80s and there was tons of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the same problem with good old Red Storm. There's no explanation of what each unit is. There is on the card, but what they were used for when they were the idea of this unit is a tank buster, and it's going to attack this type of tank because it's got this ordnance, which is called blah blah.
Which, coming back to that, I think that non-war games explain the why better in their games.
I tend to think that, but I mean,
sorry, which one? I was looking at the chat. Sorry, which
I said I think that non-war games tend to explain the whys of the game better than war games.
I think a lot of the war gamers just assume, you know, like I got Spruensleader, like Ruff was just saying, I got Spruensleader, and there's like 12 different missiles and they all have different initials. I'm like, I don't know which one goes on a plane and which one goes on a ship. I have no idea.
Right.
What is it? Which one are they for? One's for sub warfare, one's for ships, one's for planes. I'm like, I'm just randomly guessing because I have no idea.
Yeah, and am I using the right thing at the right time at the right time?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Well, gentlemen, I know that we could keep going on, but we are approaching the 2-hour mark.
Blimey.
So we are going to be wrapping up here. This has been a fun 2 hours. I want to thank everyone else for coming out and being part of the show and talking to us in the chat. And if you can, before you go, what do they do, Ruff?
Say the prayers. No, they're going to push the like button. Push that like button and subscribe to the other two and to me if you haven't already, because we need all the help we can get. What do you mean and
leave a comment. They're sending us $24.95 for the episode, right?
Yeah, if you're watching this
in the next 10 minutes, they'll get 2 episodes.
Yeah, buy one get 2 free.
That's right.
That's what we'll do. Buy one get 2 free.
What I would do, if you're watching this in the future, and you like what you see, just leave a comment and just put replay family, because that will be picked up by the algorithm as a comment rather than just, you know, not putting anything. If you want to put a comment, great. We love to read them.
Yep, we'd love to see comments, love to see people's feedback, because we do read them all.
Yeah, we do.
Well, as we wrap up, gentlemen, what's going on with you this week? Anything new, Jester? What's going on with you this upcoming week?
I got tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Combat Commander and myself going at it with Combat Commander with Cardboard Commander. I keep getting he's very hard to call out because I'm playing Combat Commander with Cardboard Commander and I get him confused. So, but anyways, tomorrow on my channel at 7:00. Hopefully we'll see everyone then, and I appreciate all the support. And we'll get it on, and we'll see how we can do. And even though he's already played this scenario once, he's got the inside up on me, but that's all right. It's all right.
I'll watch the replay because it's a bit late for me. 7, 8, 9, 10.
So that's besides that, I've got part 2 of my Defenders of the Realm coming on tonight. And besides that, who knows? Anything else is
I think he's laying down the gauntlet here, old Cardboard Commander. Making excuses. Yeah,
there we go.
Alrighty, Ruff, what's going on with you this upcoming week?
Well, editing that blooming Skies Above Britain. I say blooming, it's great fun. Lots of things different in this one. Hopefully have that out next week because I want to do some unboxings and unbookings of certain things, get them out the way, get them out the shrink wrap. Friday, though, we didn't do it this Friday. We're back on Panzer, and we're bringing in the infantry now and some sort of towed anti-tank guns and things. So we're building up as we go. So
Nice.
bit more Panzer on Friday, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it's been a great 2 hours. That's been the show. So we want to say thank you to everyone. And
yeah, post that if you're watching in the future.
Next week we will be on Jester's channel, right?
No, it's rough next week.
I've got to do it again, and
Wow.
it's my choice of subject as well. So,
Your choice of subject. So we will all wait with bated breath to see what
I
you
can't think
decide.
of these things. I'm terrible at thinking of subjects. So any help?
I had thought of one earlier when Nate was talking about something. I said, "Oh, I should tell Ruff about that." If I remember, I'll email it to you.
All right,
Okay.
mate. That sounds good.
All righty. Well, we want to say thank you to everyone to come out this week, and
thank you, chaps, chapesses. Thank you, everyone.
Next week's show will be free to everyone.
It's our once a month free view. Get out of here! Not like that at all.
All righty. Well, we will say goodbye to everyone and see you all next week.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, and as always, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, I've got to end it, haven't I?